All right, home prices are rising so fast that they are negating the benefits of low interest rates. Home construction basically tanks, new home construction tanks in April. It kind of crashes, so to speak. And guess what? Lumber companies really don't care about lumber prices and how it affects you and me. Welcome to Housing Bubble 2.0 News of the Week, or as I like to call it, another episode of As the Housing Market Turns, Churns, keeps going up with no end in sight. It's frustrating for everybody, and I get it. Listen, I get it more than anybody. Randy Patrick here, putting the realism back in real estate. Hope you're doing well. Today is the 18th of May. We're kind of past the halfway point through the month. A lot of stuff going on, clearly. This video is brought to you by our friends at Foreclosure.com. Go to gethousingdata.com. Check it out. Foreclosure.com is the number one or the nation's leader in distressed property listings. You can find out what's going on in your own backyard by checking out all the distressed properties. Gethousingdata.com. Take a look. All right, guys. Hey, so basically, we see a lot going on right now, and there's a lot of, we'll call it, discussion and articles being written about the fact of the matter is that our prices are so out of control. It's just no end in sight here. It's almost beyond the point of ridiculous, scaring off some potential buyers for sure. People are really wondering whether they are actually ever going to get a house or not. So home prices are soaring so fast that they are negating the benefits of low interest rates. So yeah, you've got more buying power, et cetera, but you know what? Things are still they're still out of control. So nationwide, we're seeing the fact that we've got we take a look at what NAR has talked about with respect to home prices. We're at a new high of $319,000. It's rising 16.2% for this quarter. This is the record high from data going back to 1989. So the median home price has really hit another high water mark. Simple as that. There's no surprise here. Obviously, we see things like gasoline going up now, Case-Shiller's going up here. NAR basically said that the 182 of 183 regions it tracks reporting higher median sales prices in the year prior. 89% of those regions are seeing prices of more than 10% increase. So we're virtually the whole country is in double-digit increase. We've seen it over the past few months with Case-Shiller, and we're seeing it now pretty much in all the locations that NAR studies. Really, it boils down to low inventories hitting the market or sort of choking the market. It's driving prices higher. It's causing, I guess you could say, competition, bidding wars, whatever. To me, that's also speculation in the marketplace. Yes, mortgage rates that are low make homes more affordable, but it doesn't mean you're buying them any cheaper. People are just looking at what? They're looking at their payments, seeing what they can afford, as opposed to actually looking to see what the price point of a home is and see whether it makes sense. Remember, when you're getting a loan, it's a 30-year loan, fixed rate loan, traditionally what people get. So the higher the price point, the more interest you're paying over the course of the loan. Now, interesting here, though, home buying sentiment has collapsed to its weakest since 1983. So the green line is the home builder sentiment. So, of course, they were skyrocketing starting the first of the year, and they've dipped a little bit right now. But home buyers, well, guess what? Home buyers the sentiment's been dropping for the past couple of months, and it's sort of taken a big nosedive right now. So it's kind of like you've got, I look at these things being divergent, right? Everyone says the market's doing fabulous. Well, not according to home buyer sentiment. People don't like what's going on or having difficulty buying. First-time home buyers trade up, trade down, whatever. I mean, any equity you make, you're basically spending on your next place. So it's difficult for people to make ends meet with the current market where it's at. And of course, what happens, these low interest rates just keep fueling the situation that's going on right now. So to make matters worse, but first of all, if you're not already a subscriber, if you could do me the great favor and honor of smashing that subscribe button and help my channel grow, I'd really appreciate that. Secondly, if you think you're a subscriber, could you please check and find out, because I've been losing subscribers on a daily basis. But I want to say to everybody that I've seen a little bit of resurgence in my numbers the past couple of weeks, so I do appreciate those who are subscribing, who are watching the videos, commenting the whole bit, so I do appreciate it. I've certainly seen a little bit of an uptick, and that's made me happy. So hopefully things are changing for my channel as time goes on. All right, well, here's an interesting note is that the home construction, sort of the new home builders have seen the biggest drop since the pandemic hit. And if you take a look at, well, why? Excuse me. Prices for new and existing homes are at record levels, accelerating at fastest clip in over 15 years. roughly 15% of builders say they are putting down concrete foundations, then holding off on framing the house. Well, why are they doing that? Well, I think you and I both know that it's due to the prices of materials, primarily lumber. So really, despite a historic shortage of homes, and this is the whole dichotomy of the market here, that home builders are actually slowing down production because they're handcuffed by skyrocketing commodity prices and shortages of land and skilled labor. So basically, you look at, okay, new homes are more expensive. Why? Because they're newer, etc. Costs, entitlement, everything has gone up. Skilled labor has gone up a whole bit, but now they're going up even higher. Just because of the price points. I mean, we'll talk about lumber in a second, but obviously single-family housing starts to drop more than 13% in April compared to March. It's the sharpest decline since last April when the pandemic hit. They're basically saying they have to, what they're saying is that I have to blame the difficulty in procuring lumber and other products, along with labor issues, for the miss. In addition, it's likely cancellations due to skyrocketing costs for single-family starts. So yeah, you may jump in today and say, hey, I'm going to secure a property, a new home build at X, and they come back to you and say, well, we revised our price points, and it's going to cost us $36,000 more because we have to pass that cost on to you, the home buyer, because of all the material price increases. So prices, new and existing homes are at record levels. As we said, nearly half of the builders say they are adding escalation clauses to their sale prices because of rising material costs, according to a recent survey by the National Association of Home Builders. So what this really means, the escalation clause, is that it basically saying that, hey, if our prices go up, then we're going, and it's out of our control, then we're going to pass that off to you, the home buyer. Now, that's the escalation cost or clause. I don't know whether and they're not saying it here, but when you dig down to those escalation clauses, does the home buyer of a new home build get to say, okay, fine, you can pass the cost on to us, but then I get the chance to back out of the agreement because that's not what I bargained for. So I don't know whether that's in play as well too. But the whole point, but they do reference cancellation. So I can see a lot of things happening. Obviously, builders are going to try to pass this on. Home buyers are either going to take it because they need places to live, or they're going to go, you know what, I'm not going to buy it, I'm going to cancel. Now, as I said, whether that causes other problems, whether they end up losing deposits and things, I don't know. It'd have to be in the fine print. It might be builder specific, but you can just see that the chaos and the issues that this could cause for everyday people who are just trying to get a residential house. So, basically, they're slowing production because of, not just lumber costs, but steel, gypsum, copper, all of which are at record highs. So it's not just lumber, it's pretty much everything is out there. Listen, go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, and what do? You start looking at basic 2x4s, and I mean, I think they've quadrupled in price. It's ridiculous. And, we're taking a look at this. Contractors are experiencing unprecedented intensity and range of cost increases. Supply chain disruptions and worker shortages have kept them, from increasing their workforces. But also, same thing, if they bid on a job today and start it in 2 weeks from now, material prices could go up, which is going to affect their cost profile, their bottom line, etc. So, as I said here, roughly 15% of builders said they're putting down concrete foundations and holding off framing the house. This counts as officially a housing start, according to the census monthly figures, but it doesn't create a house. So yeah, you can lay the foundation, and of course on a foundation you're going to have rebar, cement, you're going to have your plumbing underneath it, but the next phase is block and then framing. So it's basically saying, hey, we're going to hold off on the framing. Why? Until it's tempered down. So it's ridiculous. Other things are going on here, appliances, other things that are needed to finish and fix a house are at, again, shortages a whole bit. So everything is being affected in the entire home building and probably renovation arena. So not a good thing here. Now, this I found kind of interesting. So clearly we've got a situation where the lumber companies, so here, we've got record home prices, low inventory. The fact of the matter is, prices are going up. There's competition. There's bidding wars, which leads to speculation, which leads to the fact that your low interest rate is being negated by the high prices. Home builders can't build fast enough or are going to slow actually down, which is going to put more stress in the marketplace. The lumber people who really could help here are basically saying they have no interest in creating new mills as they reap the rewards of record prices. So basically, this article is about, essentially the fact that, we can't get enough lumber going. And, well, why can't they build new lumber mills and produce more, etc.? Well, basically, these analysts and these consultants that work, in that field are telling their lumber clients going, they're not racing to build new mills because it doesn't make sense. They figure that where they are in the cycle, that if they're going to build new mills, by the time the mills are built and they start processing, we're probably going to be out of this cycle, and then it's going to be a waste of money. So they're not interested in creating more product for home builders, etc. As I said, we're going to be a little cautious on what we do with those regards. We don't mind at all having a little extra cash around for the future, considering what the industry goes through. So they're not racing to build new mills, which means basically we're kind of stuck with what we got here. So, what alternatives are there for new home builds? Well, there's importing of lumber, but again, what's the prices? What's the tariffs? I'm not too sure the status of importing lumber from Canada has been over the past year or so. I know it's been expensive, so I'm not too sure there's been any country to country, government to government discussion saying, hey, let's see if we can make this kind of work here. But basically, there's no incentive to bring on capacity. They're enjoying this stuff. You can see the net income has risen by I think there's roughly, but they say there's about 4 or 5 sort of major lumber mill / providers for the nation, and you can see that as COVID came into play, look at their net. It's a lumber producer net income quarterly. You can see how over the past few quarters that we've been in in the COVID environment, the COVID-19 pandemic. You can see that their income has skyrocketed. And think about it too. Why would lumber companies ruin the profit-making party with added supply? Why bother? So if I'm out there right now and I'm a lumber guy and it's like, hey, I've got this endless future supply of homes that are being built. What can I do? I mean, is it a short-sighted position? Maybe it is. Are there more economics behind the scenes that we're not aware of because we're not running lumber mills or knowing the timing, the cost, etc.? I don't know. But the point is that they're going to enjoy this along with other manufacturers, other suppliers in the home building material chain of what goes on here. And ultimately, in the end, that just leads to passing literally the buck to home purchasers and home buyers who will finance this. So everything's just more expensive. It looks like nothing's, to me, there's no relief in sight here. There will only be relief in sight when we start seeing more property hit the market. And that's what we're banking on, is all that distressed property that's been bubbling and, under the radar and the shadow inventory, just sort of sitting there, almost like a volcano getting ready to erupt. This is, we're kicking the proverbial can down the road here, waiting for the forbearance and all these things to sort of open up, where we can finally start seeing some more inventory, which will alleviate some of the issues and hopefully see some price alleviation as well too. So that's the situation that we're in. But basically, hey, these guys are saying that's too bad for you. We're not going to change. They need to obviously get pressured by somebody somewhere. Some government official needs to do something and say, hey, crank up, move things, etc. Because again, we see all these stories about other wood sitting in lumber yards and this and that on train cars, whatever. So where this is all going, like what's happening to all this supply, where it's going, how it's being handled, etc. We don't know. It's nebulous to us, but all we know is that new home builders are charging. They say lumber's up 4 times than what it was. You go to your local hardware store and you're feeling the pinch right away in your pocketbook. So that's the scoop there. All right, as I say, what's concerning is the lawmakers in Capitol Hill are more concerned about GameStop retail day traders in their parents' basements than consumers paying 4 times the amount of lumber than a year ago. Will there be an inquiry when this bubble bursts too? It's a lumber market is what they're saying here. So lumber futures obviously very high and have risen because of the situation going on in our marketplace. So, I look at it going, guys, it's time. And what I mean by that, it's time to start looking at the market a little differently. Now, it's time to stop complaining. It's time to start lamenting the fact that things are too expensive, to start taking, real estate into your own destiny, into your own hands here. The market is at its breaking point. What I mean by that is, home buyer sentiment is low. Prices are up. Interest rates are still encouraging buyers, but we know that everything is just, every corner we turn, there's more and more increase in prices for labor, materials, whatever. So it just keeps perpetuating itself. We're tired of it. Okay, the market's at its breaking point, but what's coming up soon is the end of forbearance. It is approaching. So we're going to find that owners and investors will need to liquidate. What we're seeing now is foreclosure auctions are back on track. We're seeing more auctions being scheduled. We're actually seeing more participation from local courts, or in this case, state courts like Florida, saying we're we're starting to process these things now. We're going to do it faster. We're going to make it more efficient, etc. Foreclosure filings and starts were increasing. In my last video, we talked about 24 states having an increase in foreclosure starts. Yeah, it's immaterial right now, but it's a starting point, and we'll pick up because all the stuff going on behind the scenes, the moratorium by the CDC, being challenged constantly that it's unconstitutional. They don't, and they're beyond their power and scope to be doing this. So things are changing. We just can't see it in the marketplace. And I look at the timing of all this. Well, where are we at now? We are really entering into the summer selling season where most of the properties are bought and sold. So funny enough, all this is being controlled and constrained as we are in the peak of the year for buying and selling real estate. And then, when forbearance is supposed to really end, which is September, then things will open up. But we'll start to see a few things squeak up beforehand. So the whole point, though, is that, again, auctions are coming back on track. Filings for foreclosures will increase. Court systems, so depending on what state and the policy of how the foreclosure process works in your state, you may see some things picking up as well, too. So cases that were in limbo or not moving will start to move now. This will eventually lead to more short sale opportunities. That's something you probably want to start to investigate. Why I mean opportunities to investigate is that they're not all just going to come in the market. You actually have to go and get to the seller and find them and work them yourselves. I can certainly help you with that. This is where to look for deals. That's all where that's primarily where most of my effort is going right now. More will be available than predicted. We're not seeing the true numbers. As you know, one of my, I guess you could say, we'll call it a pet peeve with the entire housing narrative is this ambiguity with statistics and data, because it is listen, and I'll give everybody a pass on this. It's tough to handle. It's tough to get a to manage all the data sources and try to figure stuff out. But I certainly know from a number of sources that I talk to on a weekly basis that what's being portrayed to us right now in the industry is a gross misrepresentation or underestimate of what's happening right now. We're not seeing the true numbers. So there you go. And why is that so important? Because when you take a look at the opportunity, so this is, again, my MSA, the Tampa Clearwater, St. Petersburg MSA, Metropolitan Service Area. If you take a look at the difference of median home price between, this is just single family, guys, okay? Single family, $295, foreclosure REO, $278, short sale, $217, okay? So there's a significant difference in median sales price for distressed properties. In this case, it's showing the short sales, just for this example, for this month in my MSA, again, single family residence, it's about a $77K difference in equity, about a 26% discount over retail. And we know that if we're working short sale deals like we did back in the day and how we have our system, we can push those values down a lot more. These are basically retail short sales. These aren't, investor oriented or using the techniques that we do to push the price points down. So the volume is under, the volume will be coming. It's behind the scenes. It's accessible now. We got to get to it, and the numbers are there. So I'm trying to tell people that there is hope. We just got to get through it. To me, it's kind of like this is our last. This next couple of months we are kind of like final slap in the face. Basically going, you will buy properties at the highest price point in, forever that we've had to date, and you will enjoy it and live with it, and don't care about the ramifications of the problems that will happen afterwards. That's kind of where we're at right now. You want more information about how to work in this marketplace, I'll tell you about it. Just connect with me, Randy at LuxuryShortSales.com. So thank you very much once again for the views. Thank you for the likes and the comments. I really appreciate the comments too. People are doing a good job at giving good opinions and voicing concerns and whatever in a good forum. I wish the crypto people would stop posting their crap in there. But other than that, I think everyone's doing a good job with respect to being respectful and, just contributing. That's all I'm looking for here. So I appreciate that. Once again, please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Share the video with your family and friends. And we'll look forward to speaking with you in a couple of days.